Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Welcome back to another episode of the Peak Performers Podcast. I'm your host, Thor Conklin, and today we have a special guest from Phoenix, Arizona, Chris Ronzio. He built a nationwide video production company that sold over 3 million in youth sports event videos before he was 25 years old. Man, you look 25 years old right now. How old are you now?
32. You can't see all the grays with the webcam.
I got some light coming in here. He went ahead and he sold that business in 2013 and founded Operation Consulting Firm, helping entrepreneurs with scalable systems and processes. Now he's actually working on his third business, Trainual. Did I get that right?
Trainual, like a training manual. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I told you I was going to mess up this introduction, but I'm glad I have you here to fill me in. It's an online platform for business owners and employees to document what they do in simple step-by-step processes. Chris and his team are on a mission to systematize 25,000 small businesses through their technology. Welcome, man. Welcome to the show. Where were you 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
High school.
All right, we're done. See ya. Man, I tell you, I love this new generation. I absolutely love everything you guys are doing. We were talking a little bit before we got on air here. You know, you just came out of the Entrepreneurs Organization Accelerator Program. I'm actually one of the mentors. I run the mentoring program here in Atlanta. Great program for businesses between $250 and $1 million. You obviously went over the $1 million mark. We won't disclose what you're making now, but you've got a kick-ass SaaS company, 32 years old. Man, you got the world by the you-know-whats. Great job, man. Why?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
This is an area, seriously, we talk an awful lot with our clients. We do executive coaching and profitability consulting. And this is an area that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with because, quite frankly, give us somebody to talk to, give us somebody that we can market to, ask us to sit behind a desk and systematize and put together our SOPs in one area. Give me a spike to throw through my head. I've struggled with this my entire career. I've been an entrepreneur for 21 years, and I'm always looking for the person that loves to do this stuff. Help us out and tell us what you've done to systematize it.
Yeah, so actually I have a 3-year-old and he was sick a few weeks ago, and it's kind of like, the medicine that we had to try to get him to take, and you try to do everything and the medicine is what you need to get better, but you just don't want the medicine. And I think that for entrepreneurs, systems and operations and SOPs are kind of that medicine that all the books talk about. Every book says you want to have a business you could sell, you want it to be turnkey, you want a playbook for everything, franchisable, prototype, all that sort of stuff. And it's just hard. It's a lot of work. So my story kind of started with that video production company. And as we grew that company around the country, the biggest thing that we did was create repeatable systems on how someone could be hired off Craigslist in Omaha, Nebraska, and pull off an event to the standards that I set here in Phoenix, or where I started the business in Boston. And so it was through building that experience that I really saw the impact of scalable, documented systems. And so that for me was kind of where it all started. And it's evolved from there into today, this product, Trainual, which helps businesses get their business out of their brain, get that tribal knowledge out of your brain onto paper or onto a system that you can share with everybody, that you can delegate. And that's really how you scale. So I'm excited to dive more into that with you.
Yeah. Is it also a collaborative platform where, one of the things I wanted to do and several of my businesses is just kind of give my employees a section. Here's your site. Tell me what you do every single day, how you do it. I don't want you giving it to me. Actually go into the system and actually do it. Is it something that various users can come into so it doesn't all fall in my hands? And the last thing I want to be doing is doing the typing and the work.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's something that you kind of crowdsource from inside the company. So we have different permission levels. One of the permissions called a creator, which means they can create and edit processes and document their own job. Even if this is somebody that puts in their notice, but when someone quits, what's the first thing you say? You say, please write down everything that you do before you leave so I can train the next person. And so as business owners, it's not always us that are writing those things down. We need to, enable our people to create their processes. And so the system lets you do that. It's one place to centralize everything from your HR policies to your operations processes, document every role in the business so that as you're hiring roles, you've got one click to just assign exactly what someone needs to know. And then it's fully searchable. So after they've gone through their training, they've got the place to look things up when they don't remember quite how to do them.
Now I'm going to play the devil's advocate of one of our listeners out there. He's doubting Dan. He wants to do this thing on a spreadsheet and he wants to do it in a Word document. What's the advantage?
Yeah, so if you're documenting on a Word document or a Google document, you're already pretty far ahead of a lot of business owners who just don't write anything down. So that's a good sign. Yeah, so that's a good sign. But if you're growing and you need to be able to assign things to people and you want some accountability as to have they done it or not, a Google Doc link or a Word doc link inside your Dropbox folder is very one-sided. It doesn't give you that. So let me go back to my video production company. When we had 300 camera operators around the country, I couldn't just send someone a link and cross my fingers that they watched it and read it. And, we weren't there on site to manage them. So the accountability of do they know what they're doing, the tests, the percentage completion, that stuff becomes really important if you're growing a business that you have to rely on people to pull something off. So you just can't do that with a Word doc or a Google Doc.
So you're saying there's tests in here that they actually read the material?
Yeah, exactly. So you group your content into roles in your business. You assign it to someone or invite a user that has that role. So there's no gray area about who does what. It tells them exactly what they're responsible for. And then it tracks their percentage completion from 0 to 100 as they go through and acknowledge all of that. So time and date stamp when they went through it. And then if you want to, you can build in those tests and you can quiz people on do they understand the content. So all that's in the system. Another benefit is you can put in videos, you can put in screenshots, you can put in other interactive content that you can't do with a static word processing kind of thing.
Interesting. I'm going to divert for a second. I'm going to go over to actually building the business because everybody nowadays wants a SaaS company. I mean, got a good buddy here in Atlanta that sold his to Salesforce, started an incubator, does all kinds of cool stuff. It's a great model. What have you learned in creating this that you didn't really realize in the beginning, and what are some of the surprises that came out?
So some of my favorite things are just how trackable everything is in SaaS that we wish we could track in other types of businesses. So a SaaS business, we talk about KPIs and metrics and funnels and all the stuff that kind of is hard to track in a service-based business. But in a SaaS company, it's black and white. I log into a dashboard. I see exactly, the price per the revenue per customer, the lifetime value of a customer, the churn percentage, so that's been pretty cool. On the downside, it's very difficult to build a big business with a $49 a month or $99 a month subscription. So it was funny when I first started selling this product. I came off 5 years doing operations consulting, through a firm that I had built. And it was easier to sell someone a $5,000 a day consulting than it is to sell them a $50 a month software, which kind of blew my mind when I first started. But it really gets to how important the messaging is, the marketing is, to be able to communicate the pain that'll get someone to subscribe to a solution like this.
Yeah, what's interesting too is once you set this thing up, what are you going to do? Turn it off and lose your entire process?
Right.
So it's a great sticky model, which is wonderful about it. When you were setting it up, bring us back to the beginning. You're sitting there. Why'd you come up with this idea? How did it start? Bring us back there.
Yeah, so my consulting company was called Organized Chaos. And that was, when I sold my last business and I was talking to other business owners, everyone says that their growing startup or their growing business is just total chaos. And so the initial purpose of the company was to help guide companies through the software solutions that would run the operations of their business. So we'd come in, we'd do an audit, we'd pick and choose these off-the-shelf software platforms, and then we'd implement them. And so it was through doing that work that this business was actually born. We would go in and we would put together a project management system or a CRM or redesign a workflow in a business. And then every time we had to document that into steps that we could train their employees on. And it ended with a, big presentation and here's how you do your job now. And so we didn't have a good tool to do that. We ended up just making these big, long manuals in Microsoft Word.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
Excel spreadsheet. See, Dan, that's where
exactly.
it all started.
Exactly. So as we did that, we looked internally and said, how can we make our process better? And that's where Trainual came from. So about 3.5 years ago, we built a prototype for this software and started rolling it out to our consulting clients. And then the consulting clients started sharing it to businesses that we hadn't done any consulting for. And it just started with, 1 or 2 signups a month and got some organic traction. And before long, we had more companies using Trainual that hadn't done our consulting than ones that had done the consulting. So I said, maybe that's the way that we can reach more businesses and help more people with their process, not by doing the process work, but by helping them document the process work. So it's been a fun transition because now all of the work that we did with consulting, to a team of 12, we're able to shift all of that, all those lessons into marketing content. As opposed to charging for that consulting, we're able to use that to create marketing content. We're able to partner with other coaches and consultants around the country who are hands-on doing this work, and we're able to impact and help more businesses, which is really what I want to do.
And do you still have the Chaos business?
We still have it, but we haven't taken any new clients in quite a while.
That's all right. I still have it, but I don't really want to go on site and spend a couple of days implementing all these programs.
Yeah, not yet. It's funny because there's so many software solutions out there now. And so every company that we went into, it was kind of like reinventing the wheel where we had to learn new software systems. And so as the consulting business evolved, I was looking at how do we specialize in a few software systems that we can be experts on. But then, you go down the road of maybe just being a pigeonholed as an Infusionsoft consultant or a Zoho consultant. And I didn't want that either. So it was pretty cool to be able to create Trainual and now be the expert in that.
That's right. And it works while you're sleeping.
Yes, it does.
You gotta love that. What, tell us some of the other lessons that you learned along the way. There's a lot of folks listening also that are just starting out. What's some of the advice you have for them that you learned?
Yeah, sure. So when you're first starting out, delegation is really the biggest challenge. And when people ask, who is Trainual not a fit for? I would say it's not a fit for someone that hasn't prepared themselves to delegate. And so the formula that we came up with is that first you need to learn to do something consistently. And when you're just starting out, you're testing everything. You're experimenting, you're trying to see what works. And if you're not doing something consistently, then there's no sense in really writing it down because you're seeing what sticks, you're changing things. But once you can do something consistently, you can document it clearly. You can write down the steps of how you did it. And once you have it documented, then you can delegate it. So that to me is the correct order. A lot of businesses make the mistake of not having something yet figured out, and they delegate it to someone by hiring someone or by tasking it to someone who also hasn't yet figured it out. And then you end up just spending a lot of money. So you either need to bring in someone that has done it before and can do it consistently and can delegate it, or you need to figure it out. So for many small business owners, that figuring it out part it takes the longest, and there's no getting around that because you've got to find out what is the thing in your business, the core product or service that you can create some momentum around. And once you've done that, then it's all about creating capacity for yourself. And so you go through this journey of delegating some stuff that's on your plate to free up some capacity. So maybe you're at 100% capacity and you need to go through your schedule and figure out, how do I free up 10 hours a week? And then you hire a virtual assistant or you hire a part-time employee. And as you free up that capacity, you up-level the service that you're doing, or you raise your prices and you create more profit out of the same capacity that you have. And so that's the journey that a lot of solo entrepreneurs need to go through in order to create something that has true scale.
And how much time do you think it takes there to really, get a handle on the process? What have you seen in organizations?
Man, it depends one business to another. I've seen companies that an entrepreneur purchases a business and they don't even know how to do the job in that business. And those companies actually scale faster because they're not holding themselves back by actually doing the work. They're buying an engine that works. So those companies can scale really fast. Then I've seen other companies that it's an entrepreneur that's had 10, 20 years of experience. And finally, they've narrowed down to this one startup that does something so narrow that it's really easy to scale. Like one of the companies we got involved with early on, a company called Design Pickle, Unlimited Graphic Design. So it's a friend of mine that you're familiar? Yeah. So a friend of mine started this business, and it came off 15 years of agency turmoil, that he was trying to do all these different services. And then one day the light bulb moment was just, what if all we do is graphic design, and it's flat rate, and it's not high-end branding, and it's not creative, and it's not websites, and it's not animation. And it was, how many things can we not do? Created that business. And so that business has gone from, 3 people to over 150 people in 3 years. And, but it wasn't a 3-year overnight success. It was a 15 years or whatever. So it really depends on the story, I think.
And where are you finding most of your clients? How are you driving business to the website?
So big thing for us has been podcasts like this, just spreading the word, getting the message out. We started paid advertising as well. So we do paid ads through Facebook, Instagram, Google AdWords, LinkedIn, and we're starting to look at some more niche sites like Capterra is a site that is for SaaS reviews. And so that paid traffic is an important component to how we're going to scale. But early on, it's been a lot of PR.
I'm sensing a new lane here, a new business, paid podcasting.
It's out there.
It's out. Have you run into it?
Yeah. Well, you mean people that charge to be on their podcast? Yeah. Actually, I was pitched by someone last week about that. There's broadcast
that we sent you.
I haven't paid your invoice yet. No. All right, good. but yeah, actually, it's out there for podcasts. It's out there for radio. It's out there for TV, cable. So. Yeah,
I just hadn't heard it in the podcast. It makes sense. Joe Rogan, or EO Fire, or some of the guys that have huge audiences. I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, so I was on EO Fire a few months ago, and they are killing it with their affiliate and sponsorship revenue, though. Yeah. So they don't need to charge the guests because it's having the guests on that command the audience that bring in the sponsor revenue. So it just depends on how you go at it.
I was on there a few months ago as well, and it was a highly successful show for us. We got business.
Yeah, likewise.
Maybe we could go back on. We could do like a tag team.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right. I don't know what we would end up doing, but we'll figure out something. Tell us some of the worst advice you've ever received in business.
Man, yeah, I've thought about this question, and I've been asked this question before, and I feel like I try to let the worst advice just slip behind me. I don't dwell on it.
My question is actually some of the advice that you actually took that, you didn't realize it was bad advice until you did it. It was like, ooh, that was not good.
So not buying Bitcoin in 2010, would that qualify? Someone told me to sign up for the Coinbase or whatever when it first came out, and I think when it first came out, you had to put in $250 or something like to start your account. I remember vividly being on an airplane about to take off, and I'm like, oh, I don't have that, whatever, the account number, the routing number, and the plane took off, and I turned my phone off, and I lost however many hundreds of thousands of dollars as a result of that that delayed decision.
That would have been good advice you just didn't take.
Exactly.
All right, that was bad advice.
Yeah, so I don't know, bad advice, I guess, would be, maybe not directly that one person told me this, but especially with my video company, I was chasing revenue, and I was so the vanity of just trying to grow the top line. I was chasing that revenue, and I was trying to do more events and more events. And the events that we did were, very often just a dance recital or, a small cheerleading competition. And so our model was really just to show up and at every event make very little money, but hopefully cover all of our expenses in hopes that as a large brand, we would start to just win on volume. And that one kind of bit me as we were growing. So that was a lesson learned. I also tried to get into software far before I knew what I was doing. And so one of the last things I did in the video company was to build a custom software that I wanted to be a marketplace. So the vision for that was that video producers from around the country could shoot local videos instead of through us. They could shoot them independently and post their videos to this network and set their own price. And then we would just sort of market the network. So I spent over $100,000 developing software for this thing, and then went out to try to sell my competitors on it, the video producers, and they said, "No way, we're not giving you we're not putting all of our customers on your site." So I think the lesson there is, not to get, first of all, software is expensive. so if, even though you see what I'm doing with SaaS, know that it's not without crazy investment. And then just know what you're getting into. Ask the right questions before you spend the money.
Well, what is the average cost of setting up a company similar to yours, would you say, in 2018? Somebody's out there says, I want to go for this. What sort of bank account are we going to need to pull it off?
So it depends on if you get free labor, if you're putting sweat equity into the thing, if you're going to pay yourself, if you're just talking hard costs to develop. You're
not yet, right? You're not a programmer. You're not a tech guy. You're an entrepreneur, and just say, you know what, I want to get into this space.
Yeah, so I would say that the minimum kind of tool that someone would build these days that is a SaaS tool that charges subscription revenue, that has some value, you're probably at minimum $30,000, which isn't that much money, but it can easily turn into $300,000 as you're chasing features and things like that. So I say that if someone is really trying to get into this business, I would expect to spend 50, 100, 150 on software, on the technology, your minimum viable product, and then reserve everything above that for what you will need in marketing. And it really depends on what niche you're going after, what industry, how much you'll need to spend on marketing. So hopefully that's a rough estimate.
And, there's always a lot of talk also about, do I offer a free version as an entry level and then offer an upgrade to that? You don't go that route currently. Tell us why.
Yeah, so I heard a podcast, an episode on SaaStr, which is a SaaS-themed podcast. And I forget exactly who the interview was with, but they talked about how there's only a handful of companies like Dropbox and Trello and companies that have made their billion-dollar valuation out of that freemium model. And it's such a rare thing that you really need this critical mass of users to accomplish that. And in order to support all of the free users, you probably need venture funding. And so I didn't want to go that route. The stat that they gave in the show, I believe, was that less than 2% of your overall users will convert from a freemium model into a paid version. So us, especially being a small team with a limited bandwidth, from the get-go, we decided no free version. Another thing that we changed, we experimented with this, but initially you didn't have to put in a credit card in order to try the app. And I've seen many apps that do that. Now, it's great if you're trying to get a lot of people to test it, a lot of people to try it, but because there's no hurdle, you get so many more people that never had any intention of actually being a customer, and you have to waste a lot of resources following up with those people and trying to see if you can move them through your funnel. So for us, we added pretty quickly the requirement that you have to put in a card. Now, you have a free trial. You can cancel on your own before the end of the trial, not be charged. But for us, it increased our conversions enormously. And so that's something we did.
Interesting. And what sort of software are you currently using that you just swear by? The CRMs obviously are important to you, the funnels. What's some of the systems that you're using that you just love?
Yeah, so a couple of them. So when we started out, we used a CRM called Streak. It works right inside Google Apps or Gmail. And for me, that was the absolute easiest way to just manage our pipeline. So that was the CRM. We've since changed to Active Campaign, which allows some additional marketing automation, and that tool has been working pretty well. One thing that's a really fun tool that I started using a couple months ago is called Bonjoro. So I'll pull out my phone. It's an app, a phone app. And as people, actually, I just had one right there. So as people fill out a lead form on our website or watch our demo video, they pop into my Bonjoro account. And with Bonjoro, I can send them a video message, a personalized video message of me just saying, hello, hi, Stacy, thanks so much for watching our video and let me know what you think. And that extra customer engagement has been fantastic for moving people through the pipeline. So that's a fun one. We use Teamwork as our project management system. We use Pivotal Tracker as our development system for agile development. So we use a lot of tools, but I'm happy to share any others.
I like that Bonjoro one. How do you spell it?
Bonjoro.
R-O. Very cool. I like that one. So it kind of works like a Zendesk or something where it's almost like a chat bot, but it gives you a heads up and then you can send them a video.
It's a really simple, it's just you kind of shoot a selfie video and you fire it off and it goes to their inbox, tells you if they've opened it. So it's been fun. We get a lot of people writing back saying, I watched the whole thing and I had to watch it again because I couldn't tell if you actually said my name and if this was like a real personal video.
I've seen people use like a little whiteboard and they write the name on there. So it's like, hey, hi, it's for you.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's awesome. Well, tell the audience how they can get in touch with you if they want more information. Great company, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, so our website is trainual.com, like training manual. So think of it as the modern training manual for your operations manual, your policies, processes, procedures, all of that. So trainual.com. And you can just find me online. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere doing videos and stuff like this. Just Chris Ronzio.
Terrific. Well, man, thanks for coming on. I hope I see you at one of the global or regional EO events. If you're ever in Atlanta, please stop by. Let me know. I'll buy you dinner, buy you a drink, and pick your brain about some cool apps like Bonjoro?
Bonjoro.
Of course, Bonjoro. Yeah, I told you I was going to screw up the names. Very bad. Man, it's Italian name too, just like yours.
Exactly.
Are you Italian?
I am.
All right.
Fun fact before we end, Ronzio means buzz in Italian. I found that out when I went there. And so my brother and I started a coffee brand for our friends called Cafe Ronzio, Coffee Buzz.
That's pretty good. Is that going to be the next company?
Yeah, maybe after this one sells.
Take over Starbucks?
Yeah, there we go.
Man, Chris, thank you very much for joining us today, and we look forward to having you back on the show.
Thanks, Thor.